this is another little timepiece there. This is probably something that they were giving away at the dealerships. You know, you'd get a magazine that would rate the car, and then they'd put this in so that they would help with sales. So this is from 1991, All Stars Automobile. They're talking about the 240SX and the 300ZX. 240SX is a comfortable and rewarding on the track as it is in traffic. Automobile Magazine. Nissan's flagship, the 300ZX, remains one of the best performance buys for the money. And then they go into a little article about both cars and tell me you can't really find these cars like that anymore. That's for damn sure. All been clapped away and turned into drift missiles, aluminum cans that have been destroyed. All right, but yeah, nice little cool article about the turbo. We can get a little quick shot of that so you guys can read it. All right, guys, take a look at this. This is really cool. An original window sticker for this 1991 300ZX twin turbo.
The original stuff?
Yeah, window sticker, the original window sticker. $37,675 back then, which is in today's money, $87,000. There it is, the original window sticker for this 1991 300ZX. Twin turbo. As you can see, it says turbo, and it lists all the standard equipment here. So automatic 4-speed overdrive trans. It is an automatic, yep. T-bar roof with glass panels, 225/50 16 front, and 245/45 16 rears. Summer tires on alloy wheels. So you'll take a look, and this car has the chrome wheels. This was something the dealers were doing back then. In the 90s, chrome was very much an in thing, and that was an extra option that the dealers would get you on. I don't know what they were charging, but they'd pull the wheels off, take the tires off, dismount it all, and send the wheels to get chromed. Chrome was not from the factory. Okay, it's got integrated fog lights with the rear spoiler, rear window wiper and washer, interior, multi-adjustable driver's seat, cut pile carpet, sport cloth trim, automatic temperature control system, power remote heated mirrors, power windows, power door locks, theft deterrent system, AM, FM, cassette with Bose audio system, automatic power antenna, leather wrapped steering wheel, a tachometer and oil pressure, temperature boost gauges, mechanical, of course, is the 3-liter twin turbo, 280 horsepower V6, speed sensitive power steering. So the 280 horsepower thing is probably because it's the automatic, different turbine housings on the automatics, different camshafts on the automatics as well. That was to have better response off the line. 4-wheel ventilated power disc brakes, anti-lock braking system, ABS, 4-wheel independent multi-link suspension, super HICUS 4-wheel steer system. So there you have it. Fuel economy in the city was 18, highway 24, and when you look back at that, that's not bad for 1991. And then the options that this car came with was the leather package, power driver's seat. They get you $1,300 for that. And then welcome to California, baby. Even back then, they'd get you California emission system. So EGR, temperature sensor, is essentially what that was. California models had that. And then they'd get you $500 for the driver's side airbag. So all in all, came out to $37,675 after destination fees. So we looked it up. How much was $37,675 back in 1991? And today, with inflation, everything going up, that was essentially $87,000 in today's money. So you can see that, you know, these cars, when they were brand new, especially the turbos, I used to hear it when I was a little kid, they were doctors, dentists, lawyers that were driving the 300Z turbo. And that's probably why. $87,000 back in 91 was a lot of money. You know, I'm trying to remember, I think Mustangs back in the day, I think they were like $15,000 for a Mustang back then. So yeah, there you have it. Really, really cool. why is the 91 in here? Just basic maintenance, oil change, and we'll go talk about the oil in a little bit. But the owner of the car was complaining about kind of misfiring, falling on its face. So it's got 111,000 miles on it. It's 34 years old now. So original wiring harness, and even eons ago, the wiring harnesses were a problem, especially with these old style Bosch square connectors. So if you look inside of that, you can see all that corrosion that's built up, right? So it's on the actual pins. You get all that corrosion buildup on the actual wires too. So this is a bit of a band-aid. It's gonna help. It really needs a main EFI wiring harness. It's a good idea to do it at this point. It can be done with the engine in place. The other thing that we did too, same thing with somebody's been in there before, to get a tighter fit on the male pins to the female pins. And this is for the secondary TU sub harness. So this was the recall campaign that Nissan had first year with the original PTUs, creating a misfire on the engine and apparently leaving some people stranded because they would fail entirely. So the PTU is essentially the igniter for the coils. So we've gone ahead and bypassed that. We've replaced the TPS for good measure. This is an original TPS. It still has that telltale clip that's broken. You can see there. And then somebody at one point has replaced the coolant temp sensor, but we were getting weird coolant temp sensor readings. There's a good amount of corrosion buildup on here. This is a newer style sensor. The original ones were red, so this has been replaced at one point, but we've gone ahead and replaced it, and then we've replaced the connector for that sensor. So it's been replaced already, and you can see it's already got the whole corrosion electrolysis thing going on. And then somebody used butt connectors, and so as soon as I was actually undoing a lot of the wiring, connection wasn't very good. So yeah, so we've replaced all that stuff, guys, and done an oil change. So the other thing too, which was scary, is when it came in, come take a little walk with me over here, check the oil, and what we can see here is the capacity of the oil. So this is 2 quarts. So just under 2.5 quarts is what it came in with. And so the customer asked me, well, where's the oil going? Well, I don't know, it's been 5 years since we've seen this car. You know, he takes it somewhere else for the oil changes, but since we've gotten it, we go ahead and take care of it. You know, of course, those other places use crappy, shitty oil filters, but he's got, you know, valve covers are leaking. He's got a rear main seal, rear oil pan seal leaking. Looks like the front oil pump area is leaking. The left-hand side turbo, the driver's side turbo is getting away with a little bit of oil. And you've got plenty of little areas where oil can escape. It's not this crazy amount of leak, but when you've got so many little areas leaking, it accumulates. So, and then I was also breaking his balls about, you know, when's the last time he changed this thing, you know, because it's really nasty, you know. So not only that, it's not checking the oil. So you got to be really good at checking the oil, and you just can't assume that it's not leaking oil. It's 111,000 miles on an original engine that's not been resealed, from what I can tell. So you can see, guys, by looking at it, 5 years ago or so, we did our intercooler piping, the Ash Massive intercoolers, and then we did our full exhaust system, and then we actually put this thing on 85. So it did fairly well. And to help the automatic, we also put in our transmission cooler that we mount in the back of the car as well. So yeah, it's a good runner. Just got to really stay on top of the maintenance on this thing. So next thing he's going to have to do, whether he uses us or not, is to do the valve covers, take care of all those seals, bypass the, you know, coolant lines if they haven't been bypassed. I think they have, a little bit from what I can see, and just do a little bit of love on this bad boy. Take care of that maintenance, and then take a look at the front to see why it is leaking as well. So it could be the front oil pump seal, the ribbon seal, you know, the ones in the rear, notorious for leaking as well. You can do those, thankfully, by pulling out the rear main seal retainer, and you can get it to go back in. This, on the other hand, to do the front, you really got to pull the whole pan off the engine to do that. So, it's totally possible. It's a bit of work. Drop the cross member, support the engine on the top. You don't have to take the motor out, but it all just takes time and a little bit of love to do it correctly. You know, so many times people rush through these things, and you know, they give you a low estimate to do it, or hey, what's it cost to reseal the oil pan? And it's not just something you do in a couple hours, especially on one of these. Okay, so there you have it. We'll go test drive this bad boy now. And another thing that we did do that I didn't mention is we cleaned up that crank angle sensor connection really good too, because those are also notorious for getting dirty connections. And that one can leave you stranded for sure. So good stuff.